You could have eaten dinner 10 minutes ago, feel completely full, and then see a video of crispy fried chicken, melted cheese, or a warm chocolate cake being cut open. Suddenly, you want food again. But the picture did not remove anything from your stomach. It did not lower your blood sugar. It did not create a real shortage of energy. So why can simply looking at food make you feel hungry? The answer is that hunger does not begin only in your stomach. A large part of it begins in your brain. Most of us think of hunger as a fuel gauge. When the body runs low on energy, the stomach feels empty, hormones send signals to the brain, and we begin looking for something to eat. That type of hunger is called homeostatic hunger. It is the body's way of maintaining enough energy to survive. But there is another reason we eat. It is called hedonic hunger. Hedonic hunger is the desire to eat because food looks pleasurable, not necessarily because the body needs more energy. That is why you might feel too full to eat another plate of dinner but still somehow have room for dessert. Your body may not need the cake, but your brain still wants the experience of eating it. When you see an appealing picture of food, your eyes first send visual information to the brain. The brain quickly identifies what the food is, but it does much more than simply label it as pizza, ice cream, or pasta. It begins making predictions. Based on your previous experiences, your brain remembers what that food probably tastes like, how it smells, what its texture feels like, and how rewarding it was the last time you ate it. A photograph cannot actually produce flavor, smell, warmth, or texture, but your brain can partly reconstruct those sensations from memory. When you see a slice of pizza with melted cheese, you may almost imagine the cheese stretching, the crust crunching, and the smell reaching you as the box opens. The picture is visual, but the experience created in your mind is multisensory. This is especially powerful when the food is already familiar to you. Your brain has learned that this particular appearance predicts a rewarding experience. Over time, the sight of the food itself can become a trigger. This is a form of conditioning. Imagine that every Friday night you order pizza while watching a movie. Eventually, the pizza box, the movie screen, or even Friday evening can begin creating a craving before you have eaten anything. Your brain learns relationships between sights, locations, times, emotions, and food. That learning was extremely useful throughout human history. For most of our existence, food was not constantly available. When our ancestors noticed signs of something edible, paying attention to it and becoming motivated to eat could help them survive. The problem is that our brains now live in a completely different food environment. We no longer see food only when it is physically nearby. We can see hundreds of highly polished food images without leaving the couch. Food advertisements, restaurant menus, recipe websites, delivery apps, and social media can expose us to food cues throughout the entire day. And these are rarely ordinary pictures. The food is usually photographed under ideal lighting, from the most flattering angle, at the exact moment when the cheese stretches, the sauce pours, or the crust breaks open. The picture concentrates the most attractive features of the food while hiding everything less appealing. You cannot see that the fries may be cold. You cannot smell that the food may not be fresh. You cannot feel whether the meat is dry. Your brain is given just enough information to imagine the best possible version. Once the brain decides that food may be available, it can begin preparing the body to eat. This preparation is part of what scientists call the cephalic phase of digestion. The word cephalic refers to the head. It describes digestive responses that can begin before food has even entered the stomach. The sight, smell, thought, or expectation of food can cause you to salivate. The stomach can begin preparing digestive fluids, and the nervous system can signal that food may be arriving soon. This is why your mouth sometimes waters when you see something delicious. Your body is not confused. It is preparing. The brain is essentially saying, food may be coming. Get ready. The hormone ghrelin also plays an important role in appetite. It is often called the hunger hormone because its levels generally rise before meals and fall after eating. Some research suggests that food images may influence ghrelin and other appetite-related responses, although the effect is not identical in every person or every experiment. The important point is that seeing food can affect more than your thoughts. Under certain conditions, it can influence physical systems involved in eating and digestion. Food images also activate parts of the brain involved in attention, motivation, memory, and reward. This does not mean that seeing a picture creates exactly the same brain response as eating the food, but it can increase the food's motivational value. In simple terms, the picture makes the food feel worth pursuing. This reaction is usually stronger when you are already hungry. When your body needs energy, the brain becomes more sensitive to food cues. A picture of a burger that seems only mildly interesting after a large meal may become almost impossible to ignore when you have not eaten all day. High-calorie foods can become especially attractive because they represent a large amount of energy. Foods containing combinations of fat, sugar, salt, and refined carbohydrates often produce strong reward expectations. That is why food advertising usually does not focus on plain vegetables or a bowl of unseasoned rice. It focuses on foods that promise intense taste, high energy, and immediate pleasure. Your reaction also depends on your personal history. A food that creates a powerful craving in one person may do almost nothing for someone else. Culture, memories, habits, preferences, stress, dieting, and even the time of day can change how strongly someone responds. A photograph of a childhood meal may create more than hunger. It may bring back memories of family, celebrations, comfort, or home. In that situation, the craving is partly for food and partly for the feelings connected to it. This helps explain why food content is so effective on social media. A short food video can combine movement, sound, anticipation, and close-up images. You see the knife cutting through the crust. You hear the crunch. You watch the sauce slowly pour over the food. Even though you cannot smell or taste anything, the video gives your brain enough information to predict those sensations. And the longer you watch, the more the platform learns which foods capture your attention. One food video becomes 10. 10 become 50. You may have opened your phone with no intention of eating, but repeated food cues can keep bringing food back into your attention. Eventually, that attention may feel like hunger. This does not mean that every craving caused by a food picture is fake. Hunger is not a simple on or off signal. Physical need, reward, emotion, memory, and the environment constantly interact. But it does mean that feeling hungry does not always prove that your body needs more calories at that exact moment. Sometimes your body is asking for energy. Sometimes your brain has simply been shown a very convincing advertisement. One way to tell the difference is to ask yourself a simple question. Would I eat a normal meal right now? Or do I only want the specific food I just saw? Physical hunger is usually flexible. Several different foods can satisfy it. Cue-driven craving is often specific. You may not want dinner, fruit, or leftovers. You want the exact burger, cake, or bag of chips that entered your attention. The picture did not magically make your stomach empty. It activated memories, predictions, reward systems, learned habits, and digestive preparation. In other words, we do not eat only with our mouths. We also eat with our eyes. And in a world where perfectly designed food images are always one scroll away, our brains may be preparing for meals that were never actually coming.